professionalism, professional kind of spaces and modes being a kind of thing that people return to in some of their classes. So I'm just going to read out some of the questions, which you choose one before you go in, and it's a 45-minute appointment. So, for instance, do you believe in our quality of life is better than in a hunter-gatherer society? Do you believe technology will save us? What is your idea of well-being? Is Mexico part of Western civilization? Probably finished on that one. Okay. Yes, you're sure on another Mexican, quite a big crop of Mexican artists in this project, but from artists from elsewhere as well. Lucy and Jorge Orta, I included this is an interesting one from what we were talking about, kind of geographies and where do you categorise people. Lucy Orta grew up in Sutton Coldfields in northern England. Jorge Orta hails from Rosario in Argentina, their practice is very interested in questions of architecture, fashion comes into it a lot, materials, things like this, and their class they're going to be undertaking is cloud architecture. It's one of the first classes starting on Monday, and they describe cloud architecture as invented living spaces designed for social interaction that can change according to use and are built with recycled or sustainable materials. And this is a good example of a course which has a kind of discursive element moving into a kind of practical aspect. People will be constructing out of foam core kind of I suppose versions of cloud architecture following the kind of discussions earlier on. Sure. We've really got to go. Okay, fine. Okay, I'm literally just going to show you some nice pictures. Malia Pika will come to you later. David Zinke and friends. I loved his piece in the no loan zone. It's absolutely gorgeous. It was the squid on the floor with the kind of oil coming out of it. He's also worked with percussion musicians in the past. There was a piece in that show which referred to this, and that's going to be very interesting. And Thomas Saraceno, to bring it back round to Psycho Buildings, where he did this extraordinary piece, Observatory Airport City, which was, I think, one of the most fundamentally extraordinary and mind-blowing and really pushing the organisational institution beyond anything I've ever worked on before. But an amazing piece, and he's going to be doing a very interesting seminar from the 16th and 17th, which is the first weekend, in which he shares a stage with, amongst other people, somebody who's overwintered in Antarctica and also advises NASA on how people undergo stress, what happens when you are in a confined environment, and in particular, obviously this is referring to deep space. I think it's going to be fascinating. That's good.
Hi, my name is Jamie. I'm exhibitions organiser at Chisenhale Gallery. I'm at a slight disadvantage. Chisenhale doesn't quite operate on the scale of Tate or the Hayward, so maybe I'll give a quick introduction to the gallery. We're based in East London, and we only show solo exhibitions in our main gallery space, all of which are commissions, which mean that we obviously invite the artists to participate in our programme. And actually I'll just get the images up of Amalia Pika's project, which I'll be talking about today. Here's the first one. Okay, so yeah, at the moment we have a show with Amalia Pika which is open, and you're very welcome to come over the weekend if you're here. I'm sure a lot of you are native to London anyway. But this first image is a sculpture which is to do with an off-site project, which is actually how the gallery first started working with Amalia. It's a project that she titled I am Tower of Hamlets as I'm in Tower of Hamlets, just like a lot of people are. Tower Hamlets is the borough which Chisenhale's a part of. It's also an Olympic borough, as a footnote. And the title of that work, I am Tower of Hamlets, which is an incorrect pronunciation of the borough, is kind of speaks to a lot of the sort of tensions that Amalia is interested in her work, which is that it's kind of a staged misspelling or misreading of this of the English language via translation. And this sculpture, in fact, also relates to the title in that it's a pink granite sculpture of a succulent, which is called an Echeveria plant. And Amalia became fascinated with this succulent when she saw it at Kew Gardens in London, even though it speaks of this kind of tropicality and something wholly maybe foreign in its image to what we might imagine an English country garden to be. But the Echeveria plant is named after a botanical artist called Echeverria. It's actually it was a misuse of his name that named this plant, and this was a work actually that Amalia made quite a number of years ago when she was in Amsterdam. She's Argentinian, and from leaving Argentina she lived in Amsterdam for a couple of years and then came to London. And I should say actually that for all this talk of Latin American art, we actually chose Amalia because she was a local, because she lived in Tower Hamlets, and I guess she very much took on the project from that point of view, and I think maybe her project can speak to some of the issues we're talking about in terms of geography and what that might or might not be useful for. So yeah, this is the sculpture that she made many years before, and when we gave her the invitation for this offsite project, which she's been working on for well over a year, 18 months in fact, the offsite project will reach conclusion during her exhibition. We invited her to exhibit the work, which I should also say is very kindly supported by Catherine, who kindly introduced all of us here. And Amalia's exhibition will also travel to Modern Art Oxford at the end of the year in a sort of revised second chapter. So she goes to both exhibitions. But this work, Amalia decided to revisit this work, and her plan for this offsite project was for a whole year, the duration of a year, week to week, a different host within the borough of Tower Hamlets would have it in their private space, or public space, whether depending on the host. So at the moment, in fact, it's in the lobby of Citibank, which is in Tower Hamlets as well. But previously, it's been in. So this is someone that signed up to be part of the project and hosted the sculpture for a week, and here you can see the sculpture being hoisted above the beautiful scene of East London in the background. So. Yeah, and maybe what I'll do now is just move through the exhibition. I think, like the way that Amalia took on this offsite project, a lot of her works kind of do. We can kind of extrapolate some ideas from that. So here's the front of Chisenhale Gallery as it stands at the moment. We don't always have festoon lighting on the front. This is in fact the first work we encounter in Amalia Pinta's show, the title of which is Inside, Outside and Across, and it's festoon lighting. I'll show you it kind of drapes across our foyer space and then finally ends in the gallery. And you might notice that the bulbs lose colour as they enter the gallery. And this piece is very much, the way that I read this piece about how when we enter the gallery space, a space in which we're entitled to use our imagination, something is lost from how we engage with objects or with images in a kind of social realm. And so the festoon light, which also has connotations maybe more for Europeans than Latin Americans with Latin America, this idea of kind of partying, a slight sort of exoticization of what Latin America might mean to Brits. This festoon loses its vitality upon us trying to project kind of the serious conditions of images or objects within the gallery space, as opposed to the social areas such as the foyer, which is mainly used during private views with people drinking, or the outside of the building where it more indicates, a kind of advertising of the space or something like that. So this is the first piece we encounter with Amalia's work, and we can also think about her history with Chisenhale here, with the offsite project coming from the outside of the building